Okay, so welcome to episode 4 of What's the Topic? I'm your host, Matt, better known as Jasper Reviews. As always, it's my co-host, Luke.
How's it going, guys?
So this week we're going to be, I think it's going to be probably quite news heavy, because obviously they've done all the virtual Comic-Con stuff, Justice Con and another con of some sort, but I can't remember the name. But so we'll go into news and we're going to be talking underrated comic books, and then obviously talk about what we've been reading.
Sounds like a plan.
So let's talk first bit topic, and luckily just before this you told me there's an update, but my first bit was Tenet. Is it Tenet or Tenet?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Tenet?
I think it's Tenet.
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 I think depending on if you're from the US or from the UK, you're probably going to be saying it's different for a long time.
I've been saying Tenet, but it's not Tenet.
I've been saying Tenet as well. Yeah. There's no N in it, though, is there? Yeah.
Or Tenet, someone who lives in a landlord, and you go to Tenet.
Yeah.
So Tenet has been, well, I said it's been delayed indefinitely, but as of an hour ago, it's coming out in the UK end of August 26th.
26th of August, yeah.
And in USA, who knows?
Who God knows.
But I guess that's the market they want to do well in, because obviously it's like a $200 million film.
I think the film is actually destined for I just don't think it's going to do very well anymore, because you've got your UK market, yes,
but the UK does nothing.
Exactly.
So I don't really
but
care.
if the US aren't releasing anytime soon, and the China as well, that's two massive markets just already like.
And also it goes into like, it's going to leak online and all this stuff. There's going to be dodgy streams of it, which people are more than happy to watch sometimes instead of going to the cinema.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised, because Christopher Nolan was always very against it.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know, it don't seem right.
It seems odd that you'd release it in one country and not everywhere else.
Especially the UK.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get stuff a week early.
Yeah.
I think we got Infinity War a week early.
I don't think it was a week. It was definitely at least, it was about 3 days or so, 4 days, wasn't it? But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But this film, which needs to do well, for opening up, because I could see it not released until back end of next year now in the US.
I think it would be a smart move on everyone's part now to just delay the movie. Yeah. Like every other fucking film which is supposed to be coming out this year. I don't see this reason for Tenet to be evil. I think it's going to really negatively impact the movie if they release it on 26th of August.
And you never know, how the fan reaction is going to be. They may think it's going to do really well, but who knows? It could not be that good. I'm sure it will be.
We've had this conversation before, but I genuinely don't think that Christopher Nolan has made a great film since 2010. I told you this.
Yeah. What do you think is his last good one?
Inception.
You think Inception's his last good film?
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises.
Well, no. When I say I hated Dunkirk, but I thought The Dark Knight Rises was fine, but there's a lot of problems with it. I thought Interstellar was boring. Genuinely, I think Inception was his last great film.
Fair enough. Well, who knows when we're going to get this? Well, we'll get it, but it's not going to do well. And then, but then it opens up. Then obviously, if it's, I think you lose people who will see it because like people reviewing it. You don't agree with everyone, so I think you lose more than you gain.
I completely agree.
Anyways, on to the next bit. Ray Fisher is at it again. Yeah, he did like a virtual, it's called Justice Con or something, did a virtual discussion. Obviously they asked him about Joss Wheddon. He said he welcomes him suing him. He says, I haven't said anything that was like slanderous, not true. So he's like, it's no defamation to his character, everything that's happened is true. He says he's been waiting 2.5 years building a case. And basically he's just gone into more saying that he's going to reveal more stuff. He's saying he can back it all, and this is why Joss Whedon's keeping all very, very, very quiet on the subject. So it sounds like more. And then what's more interesting, Joss Whedon cancelled. He was supposed to do, I don't know what the other one was called. It's really bad. I should have remembered. The other Justice Con thing, like it was like a Marvel, whatever it was.
Yeah.
He was going to do a Zoom call interview, and he got cancelled.
Wow.
But
then, so does he still stay silent on the whole thing?
Yeah, he's not said one word yet. Wow. He's not said anything.
Well, if this continues as is, I think it's probably time now that he comes out and says something. Otherwise, at the beginning, when the first comments come out, I thought, you don't need to rise to this. But now this is continuing. I think now it might be time for Joss Whedon to come out and say something.
What was he gain now of it?
He's got to say something, otherwise it's just going to make him look guilty, isn't it?
Well, Yeah.
If someone accuses you of doing something,
yeah,
one time,
what if he's actually done it?
Good point.
I think he's probably gonna have done it. I don't want to draw too much. Hopefully, we'll just kind of drift away.
Yeah,
because it's an interesting story, but it's not interesting now. There's not two parties involved.
We need someone to. Let's say we need as if we need Josh Wheddon innocent, but he needs someone really to be backing him up and saying positives about him.
Someone did. Alan Tudyk. He said some positives.
Okay.
But other than that,
no one else.
No one else really. It's been pretty bad. But I guess he's doing his work. He's happy. He's got his millions of dollars.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be drawn into this. Especially then if he's saying he's like built a case. There's no point. If he knows he's maybe had an outburst on set and it's all filmed and it can be taken out of context, then it's just he's just going to add fuel to the fires. Sometimes if he just stays silent, it'll probably go away.
This is so interesting though.
It is very interesting. It's more and more. But yeah, it is really interesting. And then so obviously with Justice Con, loads of stuff's been coming out about DC. Jeffrey Dean Morgan has said Michael Keaton swooped in and took my gig for the Flashpoint film because obviously he was going to be Thomas Wayne.
Thomas Wayne,
He's like the mental Batman in the Flashpoint universe, and now they're saying Michael Keaton's going to do it. And so basically, he's saying
So hold on, Michael Keaton's going to be playing Thomas Wayne.
No. He's going to be playing his original Batman.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, from like weeks ago. So he's kind of confirmed that's going to happen.
Okay.
And that at the start, when Jeffrey Dean Morgan was part of it all, that was the conversation of where.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because I always thought it was interesting why such a big actor
plays such a small role in BVS.
He doesn't even have any lines, does he? But I assume
for like 10 seconds, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's Martha Wayne is Laura Cohen, who's Maggie in The Walking Dead. So it's two like fairly big actors.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he basically just said like it was like kind of going that way. That's why I came onto it. But shit happens.
Wouldn't you love to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Yeah, he'd be
being like a nuts Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
How cool would he be?
Yeah, he'd play it perfectly because I always say it's kind of similar to the comedian in Watchmen. Yeah. In that he's like a guy who doesn't really give a fuck. There's noticeable differences.
Yeah.
Obviously, the comedian kills for fun. He just enjoys it, whilst Thomas Wayne sees it as a means to an end. But he can play those characters really well. So it's a shame we don't get him. And I would prefer to see that in a continuity respect. And
continuity is gone, mate.
In DC, it's going to go the way of X-Men.
Yeah.
In that they'll do Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Reboot it all, same as Days of Future Past. Rebooted it all. But it's annoying because they basically aren't doing the Flashpoint story, I don't think.
Now. No, they won't. They'll have very, very small elements of Flashpoint.
So it's not really the Flashpoint story, which is a shame, to be honest.
Yeah. You're not going to get like the Amazonians, like that, or the Atlanteans. That's not happening.
Yeah, it's funny. They say that's not happening.
There's no way they would do
that.
The
rumour is they're not doing it.
Yeah.
So Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot not going to be in it. But like I always say, the Flashpoint story, how it should work in DC, is kind of how Civil War works in Marvel.
Yeah.
It's a big event film, get to know the characters, and so it's interesting to see them all on screen. Yeah. It shouldn't be this early on film, and then they're not even utilising it to its full potential.
Yeah.
Because Civil War was huge, that was like unheard of that for a third film. Yeah, what a fantastic film, but for a third film, and they got everyone back, everyone was in it.
I still can't believe that's the third Cap film. It doesn't feel like a Cap film. Do you know what I mean? Like
they try, but yeah, it's not.
It's as much an Iron Man film as it is a Cap film.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god, sorry, we're completely off topic because we're talking about DC, but that is how you do it. Like, look at Marvel. Why haven't they followed the Marvel blueprint? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, they tried to play catch up, didn't they?
They tried too quick, man.
Well, cause it was funny because obviously Batman vs Superman came out the same year as Civil War, so that was their version.
And you know what was I'm a Marvel guy, and I'm not. I know once again we're going a bit off topic, but you know how I'm a Marvel guy, not a DC guy. I remember when I saw the two trailers I saw Cap Civil War first trailer, and I saw BVS trailer, and I can honestly tell you that I was more excited for BVS than I was for Civil War.
I was very excited.
I was buzzing for BVS.
That second trailer let me down when they revealed Doomsday.
Yeah, but the first trailer was so gritty, and it was just literally like Superman, Batman. Literally, I think the final shot of the scene is it Superman standing on the Batmobile and Batman like stands up, and the final line is "Do you bleed?"
Yes, it's a good trailer.
So good.
That's a good trailer.
Great trailer.
Not a great film though.
Well, apparently they got the people that actually edited BVS were they edited music videos prior, didn't they?
Did they?
They actually weren't film editors.
That's handy.
And exactly. And that's why the film is so fucking all over the place.
Well, that's what they say about Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Trailer Park Company edited that film, didn't they?
That film is a mess. You don't mind Suicide Squad though, do you?
No, I don't like it.
You don't like Suicide Squad? I was going to say, right.
No, I do not like that. That won't be coming up in my underrated comics list. Yeah, so it is a shame that they're basically not going to do Flashpoint, and I always say Flashpoint should be Civil War.
It's just too early still, isn't it?
It's far too early. Moving on, there's a Darth Maul series in the works at Disney Plus, and they're saying they're going to really use the character in different shows.
Animated or live action?
Live action, they're saying.
Seriously? Oh, that's cool.
I think, because you haven't seen Solo, have you?
I have seen Solo.
I know you have seen
Solo, yeah.
The Solo story is not the interesting story. The interesting story is the Darth Maul story, which is something that could be made into a TV show and have the woman from Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones. I think that's far more interesting. And then have Han Solo show up every now and again. But they are really hitting it hard with Darth Maul. They're using him a lot, Disney.
Because he's such a cool character.
But his story is kind of done now. Because
when you look at Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff.
He obviously was in Clone Wars, got captured, then he escaped. Well, also in Clone Wars, he built up like a whole army, built like a whole underworld, got caught by Palpatine, escaped, somehow rebuilt his empire, then he lost it all again, obviously because in Rebels he's like a hermit, and then gets killed by Obi-Wan. I haven't seen
Clone Wars or Rebels. I've seen a few clips and stuff.
But that's basically the nitty-gritty of it is he built an army.
So cool. Is Clone Wars and Rebels officially canon?
It's all
it's
canon.
It's definitely canon.
That's all canon. All canon. But that's what people said was kind of confusing is that so he gets caught by Emperor Palpatine. We never actually see how he escapes as a comic, which is canon. Then he turns up in Rebels. If you haven't read the comic, next thing he does turn on Rebels and he's a hermit. But then Han Solo film has said he basically rebuilt his empire.
Okay.
So it's kind of how did he do that? Which is just, I don't know, I don't find it's already been done.
Yeah.
Once.
I'll before, if this comes out, I will have to finally get around to watching Clone Wars.
He can't be in a Kenobi series. He can't be in that. It wouldn't make sense.
No, you're right.
It wouldn't make sense one bit. But then I guess there is that they can just kind of canonically, like continuity wise, it don't really matter.
I get the impression that Star Wars is slowly starting not to make sense.
I think it has made sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be like continuity wise, it don't matter to just someone who goes to watch films or the live action TV shows. He's not going to go, oh, this was in the animated show. It's very niche.
Yeah, but you've got that niche audience that have been so loyal to the animated show and have been with it for so long that then if you soon start taking things away which were officially perceived as canon, people are going to get pissed off, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
I guess so, yeah. But then you say that niche audience is such a small part of bigger, wider audience. Do you know what I mean? We're in the minority compared to.
No, of course.
But I don't know. I guess they're leaning on because apparently also Disney Plus are really going to look into using Darth Vader a lot because of how well received he was in Rogue One.
Such a good scene.
It's a fantastic scene.
One of my favourite scenes in Star Wars.
That was added really late in the day. Reshoots. They said we're going to throw that in because obviously Gareth Edwards, the director, he didn't do that scene.
Okay.
Because then they kind of replaced him, got a new guy, and he thought they hadn't seen enough Vader in the film. He really stagnant. So there needs to be a reason he's kind of there.
Yeah. Although he's small, the rare scenes herein he stills. Like I love that scene where what's his name? The general when he goes to his planet and he goes into his castle.
Yeah.
I love that scene. Like, don't choke on your ambitions, General. Is that what he says, right? Yeah. It's such a
most people hate that scene because he makes a joke.
No.
But he does make jokes.
He makes jokes in New Hope.
He makes a joke in Empire. He chokes that guy and says apology accepted.
Yeah.
Which is basically, he's just done the same joke. Yeah.
Got banner.
Yeah. He's got dad jokes. So moving on to kind of Disney news. New Mutants. Got a trailer. Did you watch it?
I did watch it, yeah.
It looks really good.
It looks good, yeah.
It actually looks really good.
Yeah, it looks good. I think we're being deceived here. I don't think the film's going to be good.
I think it's going to be good.
Do you?
He's got a free swing at it. I can't remember the guy's name, Josh Boone or something like that. I can't remember his name.
He's a horror director, isn't he, as well?
Yes.
I can't remember his name now.
It's funny because it was supposed to come out in April 2018.
Yeah.
You know, look who the director's name is.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic.
I need to have that.
But the trailer does look good, and I'm far more interested in watching this compared to Dark Phoenix.
Oh yeah, of course.
At least it's like completely different.
Yeah, and it's on its own as well, you know.
Exactly. But it is weird. Like, how does it actually fit into everything?
Josh Boone.
Did I get it right?
Josh Boone. What else has he directed? I'm interested now. He directed A Fault in Our Stars.
Is that horror?
No. It's a love story.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, there's nothing else actually on his filmography on IMDb which I actually recognise.
Well, it's a shame. I guess he's kind of gutted in that. So he gets this big chance to do a X-Men film, and now it's been delayed 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And he hasn't got to do his reshoots. He just kind of said it is like what it is, like from the start. I never went back to it. It's just all edited, ready to go. The
cast is great.
Yeah, it's got Anya Taylor-Joy.
Which I love.
Yeah,
I love her. If you haven't seen Bewitched, watch Bewitched.
Which is very good.
It's got Maisie Williams, obviously. It's got the brother, I can't remember his name, but the older brother in Stranger Things. Yeah, the cast looks awesome.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah, which is why I was so surprised when all the negative stuff coming out, because I thought you literally could not have cast a better group of young people for this film.
But then where do you? It looks like a cool film. Where'd you go with it afterwards?
I don't know.
Because it's not gonna. I wonder how much it ties in to X-Men, like the X-Men universe. Is it gonna?
I reckon at the end there'll be like a little thing of like, Xavier's School for Gifted.
Yeah, but
that'll be what it is.
Like the James McAvoy Xavier.
Well, I don't think it matters. I do think this is going to probably be a one and done. Like, this is it. Like,
well, he said he planned a trilogy, planned like a whole trilogy. Yeah, he didn't. Like Simon Kinberg, the guy who produced a lot of them. Yeah, they said they were really moving forward with it.
Yeah,
but at least it's like, I think it's a comic book film I'm really interested in because it looks like an out-and-out horror.
I was more interested in it when they said it was going to be an R-rated, and then when they dumbed it down to PG-13, it put me off a little bit.
Yeah, that was something I was looking. I had a little look, couldn't find. So it's going to be PG-13.
Pretty sure it's PG-13. Yeah, which is annoying because you think if it's a one and done, just go balls out with it.
I think it would be successful because it's supposed to come out at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be successful because I think people want to see films. I doubt this has got made on a big budget.
Yeah.
It's going to have no competition. And despite there's going to be less people going to cinema, I don't think it needs to make a whole load to be deemed successful.
The villain in it is the Demon Bearer. Right? So that's the villain, I think it's called the Demon Bearer. Have you ever seen that Fox TV show Legion?
No.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was trippy. It was a good, dark show. I actually recommend you watch that. It's
Xavier's son?
Yeah, kind of like that. It's sort of do is he's kind of like that, yeah. But it's cool. It's a really cool show. You should watch it.
Is it still going?
No, 2 seasons, I think. I watched 2 seasons. I don't think there was any more after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure if there's any more. I haven't heard anything about there being a 3rd season in the works, but watch first season.
Does it link into the X-Men continuity? Is it supposed to?
It's sort of separate, but like it could. They don't. It's not on the note. What I'm trying to say is like it's not obviously linking in with the continuity, but it could. I can't. It's hard to explain unless you watch it. Just watch the show. Watch first season. If you don't like the first season, obviously don't give season 2 a go because it's different. It's very, very weird. But yeah, I recommend you watch it. Man.
Fair enough. Next piece of news. So Spider-Man has been pushed back a month. Okay. That isn't the interesting news. It's because they've taken up a spot that become free, and it was Avatar 2 has been delayed for a further year.
Good.
Do you have any interest in the Avatar?
Oh, I don't even like the first one. I think it's absolute wank.
There's going to be 3 more.
I know.
They're going to do them every 2 years. But it's interesting because this has been delayed since about 20... The first time it was supposed to come out about 2019. Avatar
2?
Yeah. It gets delayed all the time.
They started shooting again though, didn't they? I swear I read that they recently, the past few weeks.
Doing loads of it underwater.
Oh really?
Apparently they're waiting for like the technology to catch up to James Cameron's vision. But he hasn't directed a film since it. He's directed 2 films since 1997. One was Titanic, the other was Avatar.
Titanic is a masterpiece. Avatar is so shit. I don't know how so many people love Avatar. I
think the general opinion on it now has died down because it hasn't aged well. People don't talk about that film still.
But even at the time, I remember going to the cinema. I watched it twice as well. Twice I sat through it. And what year did it come out?
2010. 2010.
So we would have been 15. God, I remember being so bored.
Yeah, I've never liked it.
No,
I've never liked it. But it's stayed at number 1.
And it obviously made loads of fucking money as well.
I wonder if the next one will be so successful.
No chance.
I don't think it will be.
Absolutely no chance.
I think people are crying out for
no. As time's gone on, I think that people, like you just said, I think people have become much not less interested. They've realised that it probably wasn't as good as the initial hype because it was all hyped at the time, wasn't it? There was so much buzz around it. And I think the hype was what made everyone obviously go and see it. I think the hype's gone. It's been 15 years. The new kids which are coming through are not going to go and sit for a 3-hour fucking Avatar movie.
No,
you know?
Especially because it's an original story as well. And I think that it was an odd thing for it to do as well as it did. But then again, why would you not back James Cameron? Of the top 3 highest grossing films of all time, he's done 2 of them.
How can you turn down a guy and not trust the guy that made T1 and T2?
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Exactly, yeah. And you know, if you said, back in 2009, 2010, before it came out, that this was going to be the highest grossing film for the next 9 years, you think no way. So I guess you do have to trust them eventually. But I don't know. I doubt the people making it.
I won't go and watch it. I genuinely won't go and watch it. I'll only go and watch it if you say I have to go and watch it for the podcast. Otherwise, I won't watch it.
That is a staunching it. Maybe we will. Maybe.
I remember when it came out, I tried so hard to get into it. So I watched it twice. Didn't like it. I even bought the PlayStation game.
Sounding good?
Absolute wank.
Back in the era when you was a game of a film.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what was a really good game of a film is X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Never played it.
There is an amazing R-rated game with it.
Oh, really?
Which is bizarre, but it's incredible. It's like one of the best movie video games ever.
No, you mention it. The original Spider-Man game, the 2002 Spider-Man game.
That's a really good game.
Awesome. Lord of the Rings: Two Towers and Return of the King. Awesome.
Yeah, Two Towers.
There's quite a few actually, which are pretty decent.
They don't do it anymore now, do they?
No.
Which is odd.
No, they don't.
Marvel did a few in Phase 1, and then they stopped. Apparently, the 4 games were the worst games ever made.
Never played the 4 game, but I'm pretty sure I played an Incredible Hulk game.
Oh, yeah.
I think I did. I've got, in my head...
I think the first few films they did, the first 3 or 4, they did a video game.
Yeah. I think I played a Hulk game. Oh, no, I'll tell you what it was. I think they released a game after they did the Eric Banner Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what I was probably playing. Early 2000s, sort of I think that's probably what I was playing, yeah.
That's not on your underrated content list, is it?
No.
I saw that when I was a young kid.
So did I. I haven't rewatched it in years. All I remember is that it took at least 2 hours for him to become the Hulk.
Yeah, it took him ages.
Yeah, and then his first fight was with a bunch of wolves, if I remember rightly.
Yes. Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. I quite like the look of the Hulk, though.
Oh, I don't.
Genuinely, I quite like that bright green look in him. Seriously,
I don't like that. I think they've only just recently got the look of the Hulk right.
From Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not even good in the Incredible Hulk when Edward Norton played him. He don't look great.
No, I agree. Good film, though.
It's alright. The next bit of news, they're apparently Marvel developing an Illuminati series. You ever heard the Illuminati?
Very vaguely.
They're kind of they're not the Avengers. They're like one hero from kind of each subset.
So you got Professor Xavier's in it, right?
He's in it from time to time. Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he's in it time to time.
Yeah.
You got Reed Richards. He's usually a mainstay.
Cool.
Black Panther. He's usually in it quite a bit. Tony Stark is usually always in it. And they're kind of interesting because they kind of played off like villains. Sometimes they're the ones who shot the Hulk into space. So they make these decisions, they kind of make executive decisions without talking to anyone. So it's like they're always treading that line. Are they good?
So in the current run, they shot the Hulk in space and that then caused Planet Hulk? Is that really? That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I didn't know that.
That's how they decided that he was of too much a danger and to basically get rid of him without, they didn't ask any Avengers or any other Marvel characters. They went ahead and did it.
It's pretty cool.
So that's why sometimes they're considered villains compared to heroes, because they make these decisions. But it'd be cool to see a different kind of team up. And it's like various different characters, it's not just going to be the whole Avengers roster and call themselves something new. It's like powerful people coming together. If you think it's like Xavier, Reed Richards, Black Panther, Iron Man, people who have like more power outside of just the physical. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
that'd be cool, man. But obviously that won't happen for at least 7-8 years.
Yeah, well, they're saying that they don't know if it's a TV series or a film. It has to be a film series.
Yeah,
it has to be. Who would you get in a TV series?
Yeah,
to be in the Illuminati, you can't have. Chadwick Boseman's not going to do a TV series.
No, you say that though, but apparently what they're spending on Falcon Winter Soldier and Loki and stuff, they're going to be cost loads.
In fairness. Yeah. Maybe they would do it.
It could be a 6-hour movie essentially.
That's what they're saying. It's basically just a movie each episode. Yeah. Just a movie.
Disney have got the money; they can afford to pay some actors some decent wages,
But I wonder, but what makes more money? Is it these TV series or is it the film?
No, of course. They'll never just sign someone down to a contract to do a TV show. Without a doubt, if you're in the TV show, you're now a part of the cinematic universe. You're going to show up in some films. Like Reed Richards is not just going to appear in an Illuminati TV series, is it?
Well, I guess I tell you what is dependent on is because if you notice all the TV series are to older characters, and then all the films are for like newer ones they want to establish. I guess it's who do they want to go with when they do. If they were to do the Illuminati series, do they want to go with older characters, which would kind of work, the characters that are stepping down from the Avengers and whatnot, and overseeing these new heroes, or when they fold in the X-Men and Fantastic Four, maybe do it with them, and you can have like Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Professor X, Reed Richards. That should be quite a cool team up.
Yeah,
but they're an interesting group compared to the Avengers. Instead of at least there's that grey area with them, so like a bit more interesting stories can be told.
Would you like to bring back James McAvoy as Professor X?
No,
you think just wash your hands of it?
Yeah, I think wash your hands of the whole thing now and just move on.
I agree, but do you not just think it's just perfect casting?
I think
and Fassbender.
I think Fassbender's better.
They're both just such perfect casting for me. Like
that's an interesting one. When they do the X-Men, do you make a young Professor X? Would you make an old Professor X?
Old Professor X.
So what's he been doing this whole time?
Good point.
That's where it's
Let me change my answer. A young Professor X.
It's interesting because then I don't know.
It's really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting.
They have to then explain what he's been up to because so much has been going on, and you can say that they were, not accepted in the world, and he was just trying to get their rights, like the mutant rights, but. I don't know. It's an interesting one. Do they do him old or do him young?
Such a good question.
Because then, if you do him old, they have to already have the established Magneto as them being villains. Because that's supposed to be like an old rivalry.
Yeah.
If you do them young, it'll take ages to. I don't know. It's too hard. It's
just tough. It's such a tough one. I honestly don't know. I honestly, off the top of my head, don't know. I would like to see them old and established, but then, like you said, how do you do it? I think they will as well, because generically in the comics as well, they're always older, aren't they?
They're always old.
The TV show, they're older. I feel like that's how Kevin Feige, that is the route you want to go with, but like you said, God knows how they're going to...
I guess you can always say, it all kicked off in the 90s, or like the 80s, that's when they all fall. They've had Magneto locked up the whole time, they keep Professor X, they've told... go away, basically, you keep under wraps. So he's been quiet this whole time, and then say Magneto escapes. That's probably the only way you could do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Kevin Feige knows these characters so well. He knows what to do. I mean, like you say, in the comics, when the first X-Men comic came out, he was old. He was always old, so...
Who do you reckon the first X-Men character to be introduced will be?
Good question. Do they go with something like Wolverine, where everyone knows him? But then a lot of people won't want a new Wolverine because they know that character with Hugh Jackman so much.
I reckon that they will introduce Storm and use her with the love interest with T'Challa in Wakanda.
Yeah, they could
I could see that because she's an African princess as well, isn't she? I think in the comics she's an African princess, right?
I feel like they have a relationship sometimes in the comics.
Yeah,
don't they? They don't.
Yeah. That's why I reckon it will be a really cool way to like introduce her.
But then I then can see them introducing the Fantastic Four with Black Panther because they link up a lot, don't they?
Yeah, and then you've got the whole Namor situation as well, and like, yeah, you're right, like, yeah.
I don't know. They could do Storm as that could work. Maybe Storm would be the first. Definitely in one of the next films coming up, there'll be some post credits or something. Maybe not Black Widow.
Well, we spoke about this last week, didn't we? That we both reckon that they're going to introduce the Fantastic Four, obviously before they introduce mutants anyway. That's probably like the smarter, easier route to go, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think you got like Darth Phoenix and stuff like that was released so recently. Yeah. So X-Men are very fresh in people's minds.
And it's just simpler, isn't it, to introduce Fantastic Four?
But yeah, you can just say they've got their powers done.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay, last bit of news. Did you see they released a clip of Zack Snyder's Justice League? Superman.
Yes.
In the black suit.
So I hear you're Alfred.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so I imagine that was the scene that was in the trailer where he says, they said you would come, let's hope you're not too late. So that's what I imagine is the scene they're putting in. But at least he's in the black suit, which I really want to see.
Looks cool. It looks really, really cool.
And they're saying we're going to get a trailer for the Zack Snyder Justice League end of August. They're doing some kind of DC event, like Comic-Con kind of event.
Cool.
And so then we'll finally get a trailer. But he's keeping tight-lipped on whether they're doing reshoots or anything like that. But it's interesting that it shows that footage really, that footage is there.
Yeah. He's
done it all, so they really tore his film apart. They really shred it down.
I think I also read comments from Snyder saying about how there are going to be very, very, very few frames of Whedon's cut in this movie. So it's going to look like...
That would surprise me.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, because obviously you got all the the fight in Russia.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that must be his stuff because it's in the trailers.
Is that even Russia?
I think.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know where they are. I tell you, the opening scene is 100% a reshoot where Batman's on the roof with the Parademon.
Yeah.
That's 100% a reshoot. That won't be in there. I can't imagine too much more was in there. Obviously, when Bruce Wayne goes to see Aquaman, that was one of the trailers to begin with. Mm-hmm. When Bruce Wayne meets the Flash, that's one of the trailers. I imagine, there's probably not going to be a whole load of it, a whole load of stuff. But it's the fakest scenes you can tell were probably done by Snyder, then by Whedon, because they turn up the saturation, turn it all red and horrible. Yeah. So I just found it really interesting. I was like, this footage really does exist.
Well, we say the same thing every week, don't we? We're just so interested to see this. We don't reckon it's going to be great, but we're just really interested to see what it's all about.
I don't think it'll be great, but I think it will fare well with people.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so for him. Snyder, obviously, he's been through a lot. Obviously, lost his daughter, and now he's...
Of course.
He kind of got unceremoniously pushed aside by Warner Brothers, and maybe this will reignite his career with them, because he made loads of films for Warner Brothers, and now it's like he made a film in 3 or 4 years. I guess he's got other stuff to do, but he's releasing the zombie film this year on Netflix.
Yeah, he told me about this a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That will be really cool.
His last zombie film wasn't too bad, was it?
I thought that was okay.
I like it. It was a good remake. Yeah.
There isn't. I don't think he's made a film ever that's been like universally acclaimed. Like everyone's gone, yeah, it's brilliant.
No, I reckon 300 was probably as popular as it gets, right?
I think in a fan sense, most people agree. Yeah, it's good. Like I like it. His early films are good, and then it kind of when Man of Steel, then Batman vs Superman, you saw his limitations.
Yeah.
In that he's mostly
he's not a storyteller, is he? He's a visually. He's
a cinematographer.
Yeah, he's a cinematographer. Exactly. He's not a storyteller.
Yeah, and I think he has too many ideas. He doesn't know what to cut. He doesn't know what to fully flesh out, and then eventually it's just everything's on the screen instead of just picking a handful of his ideas. Which I always say, like Batman vs Superman, there's loads of stuff that is good in that, but he just abandons it.
Yeah.
which
So I'm just laughing. Just something just popped into my head. I realised I haven't seen 300 in about 4 or 5 years, and it just popped into my head. That hunchback guy was like, Leonidas, please lower your spear. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? The geezer that snakes them out. Like, yeah.
Oh.
I don't know why that just popped into my head.
That should have been one of our underrated films. That should have been one.
It was a graphic novel, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah.
All right, well, that as we always do, we always like to segue easily in. So we're going to talk about some underrated comic book films.
Yes, we are.
Go on, you can start. Which one of yours?
Do I start with thing that will annoy the audience, or do I start with one which won't annoy the audience?
Dealer's choice.
Okay, I'm going to start. The year is 2005.
Set the scene.
Yeah, my first film is Constantine.
See, I've never seen that, but I always hear it. Like recently, a lot of people talk about it's actually better than you think.
It's a very good film. It's a very, very good film. I'm being honest with you, I haven't seen it in quite a few years, but I remember being a kid and really, really loving it, and like then rewatching it a few years later and being like, wow, this is really, really good. The cast is awesome. Obviously, you've got Keanu Reeves, Rachel Weisz, is that how you pronounce her name?
Yeah.
Weisz. Tilda Swinton.
Oh, right.
And also Shia LaBeouf. So the cast is awesome. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf's in it.
How young was he in that then?
Was it 2005? So, God knows.
That's like pre-Transformers.
Yeah. When was the first Transformers one? 06 or 08?
I think it was 07.
07. Okay. So yeah, he was young, but like the cast is good. So basically, right. So the basic premise of Constantine is so the guy's called John Constantine. That's Keanu Reeves' character, and he's basically an exorcist and like demonologist sort of thing. And basically, he helps a woman, Rachel Weisz, prove that her sister's death wasn't a suicide. So she turns up dead, and obviously it looks like it's a serious thing. But her sister says, Rachel Weisz says, but like, look, she's a devoted Catholic. Like the idea of suicide in like, for Catholics is basically the same as murder. She was a religious Catholic. She was like, she wouldn't do this, and that's basically how the film starts off, and it's really good, man.
So what makes it so like? So why do you like it? Why do you think it's? No, why do you think it's underrated? But like, why is it good? What's so good about it?
You know how I just love my dark, gritty films.
Yeah.
And it was just it's just so dark and gritty. The palette of how it's all done is gritty. I love the ideas of demons and stuff and comics which refer to like demons and the devil, and like it's just so cool. And you basically just see like the early stages. Well, obviously after Matrix, obviously, but like of just Keanu Reeves just kicking ass for the whole film. It's wicked, man. The thing is, I love the film so much, but I've never actually watched the TV series.
It's a TV series now, isn't it?
Yeah. And as well, it's rated 46% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Or tomatoes. But so yeah, obviously not a great score, but in my opinion, a very, very good film. And if any of you guys haven't watched it, I'd highly recommend you give it a watch.
Well, it was interesting because also Keanu Reeves was on the Justice Con or something, did a Zoom call interview, and there are, they say, some talks about them doing a sequel, because now it's got like this new fan interest of people going, actually, John, it's not as bad as what we kind of thought, and it's aged quite well. And I think there's like some other films on your list that we'll get onto that I think at the time was, because it was early days of comic books, comic book films, that the darker, grittier route wasn't the way to go with them. When you have like Spider-Man.
Well, I was going to say, Spider-Man was 202, wasn't it?
Yeah. And also you had that whole trilogy was a bit more upbeat. You had like Fantastic Four, and okay, that didn't fare well critically, but that's kind of how you made the film. And also, like, I know the first two X-Men films were a little bit grittier, but the third one's much more light-hearted.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it was kind of like, you don't make those gritty films, and so maybe it was just, the problem with it was probably released too early.
It wasn't the right time for it.
Like 10 years on, or sort of 5 years on. Yeah. With stuff like Watchmen started coming out. Okay, alright, so one for me. Alright, I'll go another like sort of grittier one. The Punisher with Thomas Jane.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a good film. I don't think it deserves. It's like a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Absolute bullshit.
Which I think is rubbish. I think of all the Punisher films, it's the best one. It's let down by.
Have you seen Warzone?
Yes.
I like that as well, don't you?
Ray Stevenson.
I think it is.
Yeah. I think Thomas Jane is the best Punisher, and I'm even including John Bernthal in that.
You are mad.
I think he is. He plays it the best, and I think what's good about the Punisher film with Thomas Jane is like it gets the character right, and it gets the sense of the world he lives in and how he's like a brutal character. Because I was looking at some of the reviews of it, and they were just saying, "Oh, it's just mind-numbing, horrible violence," but that is the essence of the character.
That is what the Punisher is. Yeah,
and this was released, I think, about 2007, maybe a bit earlier.
Yeah.
So again, it's like that thing. It's the wrong kind of time for it to be released, but it gets a complete sense of the character. Right, there's that great fight with the Russian.
Yes.
In these apartments,
yeah,
which is fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I think like that's still like seen as like quite a memorable fight scene.
Yeah.
In all comics.
Yeah.
There's just two guys fight each other and they get tired and it's brutal the whole way. It's like how a real fight goes. It's knees and elbows and they're scrapping.
Punisher is realism, isn't it? Like,
and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I think where it got let down is I say like John Travolta's not great in it.
No.
But other than that, I think the whole idea of the character, his world and how he interacts with people is completely correct and in line with the character, and that's why I really like it. He did a short film, didn't he, a few years ago, called Dirty Laundry.
Haven't seen it.
It's 5-10 minutes long. It's literally him living in the back of a van, going to do his laundry, and there's some people giving a prostitute, there's like a gang member, the pimp, is giving the prostitute some grief. He goes into a liquor store, played by Ron Perlman, who was Hellboy, and he says how they'll basically break your legs, and he just goes out there and beats them all to death with a Jack Daniels bottle.
Oh, cool.
And it's really cool. It was kind of, he was trying to say, I want to do another one. And then obviously they went down the route with John Bernthal, which I think, they did really well with. But again, I think he is the best one.
I completely agree with you that the film is very, very good and it's definitely underrated, but don't ever tell me that John Bernthal is not the
John
greatest
Bernthal's
adaptation
fantastic.
of the Punisher that we've ever seen.
He is very good.
I fucking love him in Dead.
1 batch, 2 batch.
Penny in a dime.
It's a fucking run.
So good. It is so good, man.
It is good.
It's a shame that season got absolutely ruined with the whole hand situation, which went on towards the end of it. Electra stuff.
Yeah. So go on then.
Another one?
Yeah, which one you're on?
And here is where we annoy everyone.
Go on then.
I think an underrated movie is Daredevil 2003.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going at.
The director's cut, though.
I've heard that's quite good.
Director's cut. They just they take a few things out, they put a few things in, they extend some certain scenes, like the bar scene, for instance, in where he just goes in and just basically just batters the shit out of everyone in the bar. That's extended. There's the whole bit where do you remember the scene when him and Electra are with each other and they're on a rooftop and he hears all like the crime, the violence going on, and she's like, "Stay with me," and he basically just like lets all this crime happen so he can basically shag Electra. In that's cut out. He doesn't go back with Electra.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like just little things, but it just ties it together much better. Like
I think now it does. Looking back, it does fare a little bit better. But I just always felt it like how the character worked. I think due to the time they couldn't figure out how to explain his blindness, because he's essentially not blind in it. Because they show he's like, oh, it looks as sonar, and he can basically just see, can't he?
I think Ben Affleck plays it quite well as well.
Yeah.
I genuinely do, but I actually think Ben Affleck is actually quite good in the role.
The suit's not great though, is it? I don't think the suit's great.
Well, I actually don't think the suit's great in the TV series either.
No, I think it gets better though. But I think what they were copying was X-Men, the leather suits, weren't they? Because this came out like
2003 this came out.
So that came out after the first and second.
Yeah. And I genuinely do feel that this film is underrated, and I honestly think that the reason why this gets such a bad rap is because this comes out a year after Marvel's success with Spider-Man. And that set the bar. And I do feel that is the reason why this film gets such a bad rap.
Well, this would have been made by... Would it have been made by Fox? So they were doing the X-Men, weren't they?
They released this.
I think it would have been Fox.
Let's have a look.
Because then I think it all reverted back, didn't it? Because then they just didn't bother with, with the character, and it reverted back to when they did a TV series.
Yeah.
But I do get a sense it's very X-Men-y. obviously with the suit, and kind of they don't ever want to lean too heavy into the character's comic book origins, because I think for Fox they're always worried that people would laugh, but then I think Spider-Man showed that you could do it.
Yeah.
You could go campy with it and it would work.
So we're here, production companies, Marvel Entertainment, 20th Century Studios. Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I've watched it maybe twice. I've never gone back to it. Don't like Colin Farrell's bullshit.
Oh, do you not?
No.
I actually don't mind him. I really don't mind him.
I like Michael Clarke Duncan's Wilson Fisk.
Yeah,
I think
cool.
I think he's good.
I don't feel his character is actually flushed out as much as I'd like it to be. I'd like to see a bit more of him, but what we get him, I enjoy. I love the whole Rose thing as well.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool, man. I love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as well as that, I know this is another thing that it gets slagged off quite a lot about it, but I genuinely think the fight choreography is actually pretty good.
Their ending fight is pretty good, isn't it? When they're in his office and all the sprinklers are on.
Yeah, it's cool.
Good.
It's cool. The majority of the fights in the film are really, really cool. I think the only one which we can say is awful, extremely cheesy, and this was the downfall. The worst part of the film was when Matt Murdock and Elektra had that fight in the playground or on the seesaw.
Yeah,
that's the only thing which I think is absolutely.
That's
rubbish,
where they go silly, because then also like Matt Murdock's flipping around on the railings by apartment blocks to go fight crime. He like comes supernatural, like some of these movements. So I think they just didn't want to go too gritty with it, and they couldn't find that middle ground of everything. I don't think it is as bad a film as some.
It's not. People argue and say this is one of the worst, if not the worst, superhero film of all time. It definitely is not. There's fucking plenty of worse films out there than Daredevil. For example, Spider-Man 3, which is a travesty. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is a travesty. Yeah. Dark Phoenix.
Is it travesty?
I can name you 10 movies quite easily on the spot here which are worse than Daredevil.
Fair enough.
Age of Ultron.
Alright, my turn. So, alright, I'll go with a bit more of a controversial one. Batman Forever.
No.
Now, I don't think it's a great film, but I don't think it is, because I think it gets lumped in a bit now with Batman and Robin. I don't think it's as bad as that.
It's not as bad as Batman and Robin.
But I think it's it gets mostly everything right about its characters. And I appreciate it spends time with establishing Robin. Nothing ever has ever really established him properly. It actually did his origin. It didn't, just skim over it, say like Dark Knight Rises, where it's just a guy called Robin, which is ridiculous.
Call me Robin.
Yeah, it's just that was awful. One awful.
That was a bad time when at the very end it's like,
yeah.
Well, how does it just say "Call me Robin"? I can't remember how.
No, she says, "I like your name. You should use it more often, Robin." And he's like, "Yeah, cheers."
It's a bit wanky.
Yeah, and then he walks off, and then Batman just gives him the keys to the Batcave, despite having no training whatsoever. At least they establish in this who Robin is, which not many films do, and I think it's more of a, because they're saying like there's this darker cut. There's not a darker cut.
What, The Dark Knight Rises?
No, Batman Forever.
Oh yeah, no.
But I think it's more of a homage to like Adam West and like that campy version of Batman.
Yeah.
Because with that campy version of Batman, they always got the characters right. And I think other than, say, Two-Face, everyone here is, very sort of comic book accurate. They're all right, they're like very campy. I'm saying Two-Face has never really been, but I think it's a cool nostalgia trip of Batman.
I can understand that. I feel like one of the big issues though is it's obviously completely different directors, completely different direction, but it's the complete tonal shift from Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the best Batman films ever.
I think it is very good, yeah. And obviously that's just Warner Brothers getting worried about the falling sales and thinking that perhaps this dark, gritty character can't work. That's not what comic films are about. We should return to what Adam West was about. But I think what people say, Batman Forever is bad, is because they then lump it in, because that's the reason then we got Batman and Robin. Yeah. Which it probably is. It doesn't make the film bad. I think there are enjoyable things about it. It's not a great film, but I don't think it's like at 40% Rotten Tomatoes, and it probably deserves about 60 to 70, I would say. You sure? Yeah, I mean, I can. I'm going to rewatch it. I'm going to give it a rewatch at the weekend. Jim Carrey's in it. I know. He's all right in it. He's all right. It doesn't end well, but I think other than that, everything about it just the whole character in the world does kind of work.
I would have loved to have seen Tim Burton finish his trilogy.
Well, yeah, he would have had Billy D. Williams as Two-Face.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
See Keaton come back for a third time.
Do you know how much? Apparently, he made so much money.
I'm not surprised.
Off Batman, apparently, he made just ridiculous amounts.
Yeah.
That's why he didn't really work for much. Because it's just like, what more do you do?
With the exception of obviously the Christopher Reeve Superman films, that was probably the OG superhero film, wasn't it?
Like superhero film. Yeah. And then these came along. It was a bold choice that he went for, obviously dark, gritty, and I mean, there's a little bit of campiness.
Well, I think the first one was a very, very solid Batman film, and the second one was more of a Tim Burton film, more than anything. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, yeah. But I still love it. I actually prefer Batman Returns to Batman, genuinely. I think Danny DeVito as a Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman is just incredible.
I think it's very close.
Yeah.
They are both very good. I know I'm not saying Batman Forever is on the same level, but
it's not even close, bro. Don't even try.
Yeah. But it is an enjoyable film if you don't look at it as the sequel to Batman Returns.
Yeah, I understand. I'm going to rewatch it. You've made me want to rewatch it. Yeah.
If you just see it as its own singular thing, then you're like, cool, it's this deep dive nostalgia trip to the 60s Batman, and it establishes all its characters. And then also you don't want to watch Batman
love
Robin.
that 60s Batman film.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it when he's climbing up the Batcopter and he's got that shark on his leg and he's like, Robin, pass me the shark repellent. He just starts spraying. He's like,
I like when he's running down the pier with Bomb.
Yeah.
And then he looks, there's people playing, and he looks, there's like little ducks.
Some days you just can't get rid of the bomb. There's like a woman pushing a child in a pram, and there's like a group of nuns, and he's just like brilliant.
Go on then. You must have another.
My final of the three. My favourite, actually.
Go on then.
Blade.
Yes.
1990 out, Blade came out.
Because it is weird because those films are always seen, like, everyone's like, yeah, they're great, but then you look at, like, critically, it's like at, like, 50%.
55%.
Did Guillermo del Toro do this one?
Did the second one.
He did the second.
Did the second one. Which I actually think is a better film than the first one, but I feel like the first one did so much for what we now have in our other comic movies, like, massively so. Like, for example, you can say without a shadow of a doubt that this film put Marvel cinematically on the map, hands down.
Then they almost went bankrupt after this one.
Well, but did you know this? I didn't realise this. I read this earlier. Do you know the last theatrical Marvel film since before this, the last theatrical Marvel film? So they did straight to video, straight to TV stuff. But do you know what the last theatrical release was?
I would have said. You're going to get annoyed because I'm pretty sure I know. It's Howard the Duck.
It's Howard the Duck, 1986.
Yeah, I know.
That blew my mind.
And then before, that was the first ever feature film, if you don't count the Captain America serials.
Yeah.
Serials.
No, it's mad. And just, I love this film so much. I was introduced to this at such a young age. I don't know why, for whatever reason. I don't know why most kids, most 9, 10, 11-year-old kids like playing with action men. I was kind of into vampires. I like Blade and the Lost Boys and John Carpenter's Vampires. But yeah, man, I just love it. There's so much about this. Do you know anything about Blade?
Well, yeah. Well, I've seen the film. I haven't seen the film in quite a while though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know a little bit about the character. Obviously, he does actually work in the Marvel universe, and he's a vampire. He's half vampire.
Yeah, he's half human, half vampire. Yeah,
so he's got to use Does he have to use that medicine in the comics? I don't even know.
Don't know. I've never read the comics. So I think he appears in is it Dracula, Tales of Dracula or something like that? I don't know. Okay. But anyway, whatever. That's beside the point. But half human, half vampire. His mum gives birth to him and supposedly dies during pregnancy.
She dies. You mean not he dies?
Well, no, she dies. Obviously, yeah, he dies, and that's the end of Blade.
Yeah,
it goes on for about 5 minutes. Before, and then they call him the Daywalker because obviously it's half and half. And yeah, man.
Why is he half and half?
Because he's so basically his mum was bitten by a vampire
during pregnancy.
Yeah, and she was yeah. So it's cool. Yeah, it's just an awesome film, man. Awesome film. The opening scene of this film is not just one of the best opening scenes in a comic book film.
No,
I'd go as far as saying it's one of the best opening scenes of any film I've ever watched in my life.
Right.
Genuinely.
Okay.
Like, it's not, but it's in the top 10 without a shadow of a doubt. Well, there's a lot of films. Top 10, that's a good list to be a part of. Like,
I'm surprised it can get that high, but fair enough.
Do you remember what the opening scene of this film is?
Is it? It's not where he goes into the club with blood.
Yes.
Is it? Yeah.
So they drag that guy in the club, and then all the blood starts coming down in the sprinklers, and then they all turn into vampires, and basically you're going to rip that geese to shreds and stuff, and then Blade just comes in and just literally just fucks up that whole nightclub.
Yeah.
What an opening scene.
It's a bold scene to go for, considering there's not been many, I guess at that time, it was like 99 this release, wasn't it?
98.
Because you got to think of all the films that come before it, and now you're going full R-rated.
Yeah.
And it's a good statement to make that you early doors get people involved and on board to say this is kind of what we're going to be about.
Yeah.
And I guess it's surprising that actually people did enjoy these films, and kind of R-rating comic book films just died.
Yeah.
Afterwards. You think really, other than Blade 2, Blade 3, then Watchmen.
What year was Watchmen?
2009, was that? I guess that was R-rated, wasn't it?
Yeah, Watchmen's R-rated.
Yeah.
It's a hard R. Yeah.
And then after that, you probably next got Deadpool, haven't you? So yeah, it's strange that also these films did fare well, and they kind of just didn't kick on with it.
It's just another thing as well with regards to Blade. He was the first Marvel character. Like, bear in mind, like all the great comic characters you've got up to that point, he was the first Marvel character to actually be taken seriously on film.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You look at the likes of, they did like the Captain America shorts, and they did that god-awful Fantastic Four film as well.
Which, they never released that.
Yeah, so it's unreleased, but Howard the Duck. Do you know what I mean? Like, first Marvel character to be taken seriously, and not just that, he was actually the first black superhero to be put on film. Yeah, which is major. Yeah. And this never gets mentioned. It's always the Black Panther argument. The Black Panther was the first. Black Panther had done so much of this. I go back to 98. Fucking Marvel did this with Blade. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess the major problem was that it didn't carry on from there. Technically, you got Spawn, played by Michael J. White, Batman. But obviously, you can't say that people have had their representation.
No, of course, yeah.
But I did feel like poor old. Who's the guy who plays Blade?
Wesley Snipes.
That's it, Wesley Snipes. I felt people doing it a bit harsh now.
Yeah, massively so, yeah.
It's all about Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah. And what a film. I mean, if you haven't seen Blade, watch Blade, and then follow it up by watching Blade 2, because Blade 2 is actually better than Blade, in my opinion.
And then not watch Blade 3.
And then just skip Blade 3.
Alright, so we're going to do 3 a chance. Let's do my last one. So I know you don't like this film, but I'm going to try and convince you round on this one. Is Iron Man 3.
Good luck.
Now, also,
absolute load of shit.
And now there are problems with it, and obviously the major problem is the Mandarin, which is
it's a major problem, mate.
Yeah, Trevor Slater was not a great call.
Trevor,
but they're going to do the Mandarin now, aren't they?
Thank God, because of how bad Iron Man 3 was.
But I tell you what. So what I like about it is at least it explores Iron Man's PTSD, and it does actually set up a lot for the Iron Man character.
Yeah.
Through his actions in Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, in that he's dealing with, as Thanos says, you're someone who's cursed with knowledge. In that, obviously, he knew what was coming when he went through that black hole kind of thing in Avengers, and then you can see him dealing with that. And I think it's the only film that truly actually looks at how Iron Man deals with obviously this knowledge he has and the actions he wants to take. Everything else is just very much, he's just reactionary. He's saying, we're going to do this. But you know why he wants to do that, because this film has said, because Iron Man 3 has said, he's dealing with a lot. He isn't just shaking this off. And you see the after effects of that. And that's why it's kind of never really revisited. People say, his PTSD was kind of forgotten. Well, it wasn't. They established it, and now it's time to say, now he's putting into action a plan. In Age of Ultron, he's got his own Iron Man bots, hasn't he? And he's got, he makes Ultrons. He wants to put a shield of armor up, and then he's saying we need to be put in check for Civil War. And I know it doesn't all just link back to this one film. There's other aspects, but it kind of does set up, and I think it's something that should have been further looked into. Yeah, and they drop it, and I think they had a really good thing going there, and I think the Mandarin they were doing really well with. And it's not often you say that when they completely rewrite a character. Because obviously who he was at the start was like a terrorist and was played by a white man, so an Asian man, didn't really have his 10 rings, but it was an interesting rewrite, and that was bad what they did in the end with him.
It was so bad.
It weren't a clever choice to make.
You can't go back on it.
But they did, didn't they?
What I mean by that is you can't. What they did in that film is undefendable.
It wasn't the best choice.
It's stupid. I'm actually very surprised that Kevin Feige allowed that. Yeah. That is just such an unlike Kevin Feige choice. Because the hardcore fans, he must have known that the hardcore fans were going to seriously hit backlash for that.
Yeah, but they learned lessons. And they learned lessons quickly.
Don't piss off the fans.
And I think that is a testament to Feige that
they learned the lessons so well, people, that the next one they released was For the Dark World.
Which is interesting because you look at Phase 2, their first 2 films were Universal.
Not looking good.
Lambasted. And then they did Guardians. And then they did Winter
Soldier, and then they hit it out of the park,
And then I think they did Age of Ultron. And then they did
Ant-Man,
And then kind of Phase 3, they kind of kept doing great ones. But I think the core aspect, the enjoyable parts are there.
Mate, I'm in agreement with you with everything you've said about the PTSD and stuff about awesome, and they should have gone more into it. And I actually remember I've never rewatched Iron Man 3 since the cinema because I remember hating it so much. I just never wanted to go back to it again. And I remember the first hour and a half of this film, not hour and a half, maybe the first hour and 10 minutes or so, I fucking loved it. I was like, this is probably one of the best MCU films I've seen. I loved everything with Mandarin. I loved the whole terrorist on the channel thing. You will never see me coming. I loved it. Literally, I was proper this is such a cool what they've done with it. And then they could not have. And when they bomb his Malibu mansion as well, when they love that scene. And then as soon as the Trevor thing is revealed, I went, fuck this. I remember slumping into my chair, crossing my arms and just thinking, I'm done.
Showed them.
I'm done. I'll show Marvel, It was just such an awful decision.
It was a bad decision, but at least I think it's easier to enjoy now because at least you know where it goes. Kind of where everything ended up with Marvel. Not particularly that film, but it kind of everything does work out in the end. In that they start the landing with obviously Infinity War and Endgame. And I think there are some aspects, and I think that is what Feige does. He cherry picks from the bad films. He takes stuff that does work and he goes with that. So they took that PTSD and go, well, that's actually a really interesting idea, and we can weave that in to future stories, which is what they did. So that's kind of why I like it.
I'm so glad they did that thing in the prison.
Yes.
I'm so glad they did that.
But they've been clever now because now they can do the Mandarin. And
now I'm excited for Shang-Chi.
And he's going to be the actual Mandarin, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's going to be 10 rings come back.
God.
I wonder if they'll do any callbacks to this. Did Trevor Slater one of Ben Kingsley?
I don't want Ben Kingsley in this movie. But, they planted the seeds as early as Iron Man 1 for the Mandarin, didn't they? Because obviously he gets kidnapped by... the 10 rings are what kidnapped him, right?
10 rings kidnapped him. They've been do you think they've been a mainstay in the Marvel Universe? They've been there since the start. And they've been past Iron Man 3, obviously. I think it did set back the 10 rings, but they've never been mentioned again. But at least they're going to come back into it. But Marvel drop their villains all the time, like Hydra.
Mandarin is such a powerful villain, though. It would have... he's not really one... I mean, it's obviously what's going to happen. He's going to be a one and done, isn't he? Probably. But
they're all one.
But he's not one, but he's such a he's Iron Man's probably one of Iron Man's greatest foes, isn't he, in the comics?
Yes.
Yeah. If not, he is Iron Man's greatest foe, isn't he?
Enough.
Yeah. It's a shame that we won't get to see that Tony Stark Mandarin.
And I think that was it was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way to put it.
So you haven't convinced me, Matt.
Well, my point wasn't to convince you, but just to say there are aspects that do work, and I think that's kind of I mean I still enjoy it. It's just kind of a fun film, and then obviously there's parts where don't make sense. But I think if you're a general audience member, I think you go, oh right, okay,
no, of course, I completely get that. And I think I get the impression when I speak obviously not yourself, but when I speak to people that have seen Iron Man 3, the people that mostly tend to enjoy it are people that actually aren't so into the not the continuity, but like the comics.
But
you know
it's
what
the
I mean?
character.
Yeah.
Like you just go, oh, cool. That's there. That makes sense. He's the villain. That's the twist.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it's a kind of a fun film. There's lots of quips and good action scenes. So that's so there we go. There's all our underrated comic book films. I did do some other ones, which
give them an honourable mention.
So I did Man of Steel.
Yeah,
that's something I enjoy more and more. When I didn't used to like it, but I watched it again maybe 4 weeks ago, and I agree.
I completely agree with you, man.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Haven't seen it.
It's a fantastic film. It's got but these films are actually the ones I'm going to mention now actually have had good critical reviews. They've just not fared well. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is fantastic. That's such an interesting film done by Edgar Wright, who's done like Hot Fuzz and all those films. It's visually incredible. Dread. Yeah. That's amazing. That's basically everything the character's about, and what I like most about Dread. Have you ever seen The Raid?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
It's basically The Raid.
Oh, cool.
He just has to go into a building, work his way up the building to get to the boss.
Wicked.
It's R rating. But what I like about it is it's not like this big, these are what, Dread's got to save the world. It's just a little story. Yeah. They get a call, it just comes up with some text saying, they're judge, jury, executioner, gets a call, there's something going down, Dread goes in there with his protege, and then that's it. Just work the way up the building. That's it. Film.
Pretty cool.
And I like films like that.
Simple.
It's just a mission.
Yeah.
And then my last one was Snowpiercer, which actually has become a TV show lately.
I still need to watch it. You recommended it to me 2 weeks ago, and it's still one of my lists I need to watch.
Yeah, fantastic film. And that would have fared better financially, but Harvey Weinstein wanted to add something into it, and director, I always forget his name, the guy who did Parasite.
Oh, Parasite, yeah.
Yeah, he refused. It was something that basically made it more Western. He didn't want to do it. Okay. So he just like, alright, fine, I'm not really going to release it. Okay. But yeah, that's just fantastic film. Most people can notice about that film, so I won't talk much about it. Should we talk about what we've kind of been catching up on?
We will. I'll add one more thing to the...
go on then.
Since we've mentioned the Punisher Warzone.
It's racing or something.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. We mentioned it earlier, it's a good film, and it's the first introduction of Jigsaw as well, isn't it?
No, you're right.
Yeah, so it's worth a watch. I'm not going to... That's as far as I'm going into it. Definitely worth a watch. It's a great action film, very simple, and just Frank Castle just literally just beating the shit out of everyone. What would you want from the Punisher movie?
True.
Yeah.
Alright, so have you watched anything this week? Watched any or read anything?
So I've been continuing with Dark season 2.
Oh, yeah.
We spoke about this last week.
Yep.
German TV show. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really good. It's very hard to talk about and to explain Dark because it's just so complex. And even myself, I don't really know what the fuck is going on half the time, but it's really cool. And I definitely recommend you guys give it a watch.
Okay, so I watched a film last night, something that was supposed to be released in cinemas around about now. Instead of on video on demand, so I watched it on Sky Movies. It's called Sea Fever. Okay. And I'll tell you what, it is eerily bizarre because it's kind of like what's going on right now with COVID and everything.
Oh, really?
It is so what's it about? It's a thriller. It's a scientist. She just looks at the sea, looks for animals in the sea. Just kind of, it's very generic. That's not the important part. She's looking at waves in the sea and what the animals do and looks for anomalies. And then part of her research, she buys her way onto a fishing boat. And there's not many big names in it. The biggest name is Connie Nielsen, who's in Wonder Woman, and a guy called Dougray Scott. You ever heard of him?
No.
He was originally going to be Wolverine.
Oh, really?
He had to pass it down. He was too busy filming. Yeah. And then there's another film. I know there's an interesting story about Dougray Scott. He got another film, and then they sacked him. And Hugh Jackman took that role as well. It was another big role. And then apparently Dougray Scott hates Hugh Jackman, and he said to his face, "You stole my career."
Bloody hell.
But he's in this film. So then what happens is it's going on this ship, and then it gets caught by this, they don't know what they've been caught by, but they've come to a standstill. and then there's like a blue liquid oozing into the boat, and they don't really understand what it is, and they have a look, and it's like this tentacle monster that's right at the depths of the ocean, and then like lets them go.
Okay.
And then what happens? They realise this blue goo is like a parasite, and it's infecting them. And then then it just goes from there, and they're trying to work out the infection, who's got it, and then it's really funny because then they're finally starting to get away, and then they're saying we're going to have to quarantine ourselves to see who's got it because this person had it, and then 36 hours basically then showed all the signs, so we need to see, and it's like really kind of, oh my god, they're all going to release this. Like,
have you seen The Thing?
Yes. Are you talking about the old one?
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
The 1980s. I can't remember what year it came out.
Yeah.
So I just had a little like.
It's kind of like that
thing in there. Like,
there's some. I won't ruin it all, but like there's some body horror stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it's mostly just a thriller. It's slow suspense. I did like it, but I felt maybe a bit more scares should have happened. Because then it's mostly just this woman going, oh yeah, this is the infection, how are we going to get rid of it?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And I thought, well, it should be a bit more suspense filled and a bit more should be happening. Like the crew should turn more on each other, and they do a little bit, but not enough. Yeah. But it is a good film, like good suspense.
No, it sounds cool.
Especially like out at sea, it's like really kind of, oh god, I couldn't imagine anything worse.
No, wicked.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I've really watched this week. I haven't had time.
Yeah, you and me both, man. I read the first chapter of.
What was Saucy Man?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I need to obviously read more. I've just literally read the first like 5 pages or so, but.
So he's taking too much sun.
Yeah.
Taking too many rays in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all that's happened. But from what I've read of it, it's cool. I know I've really said this to you that the artwork is awesome. And the only other really thing I've really watched this week is we mentioned watching the trailer for New Mutants, but they released a trailer for a film called Terrifier 2. Have you seen Terrifier? It's awesome.
What is it?
It's a very, very, very low budget horror film, okay? I don't think it had a theatrical release.
Right.
It came out 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And it's just basically, so there's this guy, it's basically about this like killer clown. It sounds ridiculous, but like if you look at him and you look at how he looks so scary. He looks like a proper modern day type. You know how in the old, like back in the 80s and stuff, you've got like your Jason Voorhees, your Freddy Krueger. He looks like a proper modern day like horror sort of creation, if you will. And basically, right, so these two girls, it's like Halloween or whatever. These two girls have been to a party or whatever. Like they go into this pizza place to get some food, and they first encounter Art the Clown, blah blah blah, and then the story goes on, and basically he's just trying to like hunt down and kill these girls. It's very, very low budget, but it is such a well-made, suspenseful horror film.
How long ago did it get made?
I think it was 3 years ago.
Oh,
or about 2 or 3 years ago. It must have gone for about an hour and 10 minutes. So it's quite a relatively short film, but they released the trailer for the second one because the first one did so well, and it's got such quite a big cult following now as well. So the trailer looks really, really cool. I'd recommend you check it out, and if you like it, watch Terrifier.
Yeah, I'm not a big horror man.
I know you're not, but you should give it a go.
Watch the It films. That counts for me.
Yeah. The thing with this as well is that I'd recommend. I really, really like it, but it's not for the faint-hearted. It's quite a brutal fucking movie. It's a brutal one. If you're not into horror, I probably actually wouldn't say this isn't the best one to dive straight into. It's quite brutal, but it's a very, very good film.
Things I don't like about horror is I don't like the sensation of jumping. I hate it.
Yeah, well, I don't like. I consider jump scares now. It was a big thing early 2000s with like Paranormal Activity and like Insidious. Yeah. I feel like horror's moved on now, and I find more jump scares to be more of a cheap way of. If you don't like jump scares and you want to watch a good horror film, watch The Conjuring. You've seen The Conjuring?
No.
Very, very few jump scares. It's directed by James Wan, who obviously did Aquaman.
Yeah.
And the way he shoots his films is he likes to do very long shots. And he never cuts. Like he never cuts away from scenes. He's like lets the audience be there and lets things prolong. So it, like if anything, it builds up that sense of dread. You'll never just get and all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Do you know what? You get the odd one.
Yeah.
The film isn't. The good thing about with good horror film. I know it's turning into a horror podcast now, but like with good horror films, you need to really feel for the characters. you need to engage with the characters, otherwise when the characters die or anything happens to the characters, you couldn't give a shit. Yeah. And that's a problem that a lot of horror films, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, totally. I gave you a lesson in horror there you go.
Exactly. I haven't watched too many horror films.
I need to write you out a list. I'll start you off tame and we'll slowly make our way down.
Maybe I should start with Insidious or even The Conjuring. Like I've heard they're fantastic films. What's the one? It was one recently. Older woman starred in one. They said she was incredible. And my own.
Oh, one about the dementia. Relic.
Yeah.
Relic. Is it Relic?
No. They said she should have got nominated for an Oscar. She was so
Hereditary.
That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome movie. Yeah. Ari Aster, the one that then did Midsommar. Yeah. One of my favourite horror films of the past, I don't know, 20 years.
There we go.
It's that good. And that's one, I don't think there's a single jump scare in it.
Really?
Maybe one or two.
It's not that, I think jump scares are bad or awful. I don't like that sensation because it doesn't scare me. I just think you've just tricked me.
Yeah. But that's why Hereditary is so good, because it's essentially a family drama. And it's a 2-hour movie. And you spend the whole time with his family. And then when shit starts happening to the family, you've had that connection with them to the point where now you really start to like feel what they're going through.
Yeah.
Which is what makes a good film, you know? Like it's good writing, you know? Any fucking idiot could write, you know, oh, I'm sitting down at a table and then the door slams. Just cheap. It's easy. Like, yeah.
Well, was that everything?
Yeah, man.
Was that everything? Okay. All right, thank you for listening. You can always find our Twitter, what's the topic _pod. I got it right this week. Or it might be, no, I think I did. I think it's what's the _ topic. Oh, it's something.
What's the topic? Just
as always, and then we have a YouTube channel where we just post the full episodes. But if you've got to this point, you're not going to do that, are you? I have a YouTube channel called Jasper Reviews, where I sometimes post clips from the show and sometimes from my own videos, and then I'm Jasper_reviews on Twitter, and then Luke.
Just Luke Yarker on Twitter.
And there you are. There it all is. So thanks again for listening.